Hi everyone! Mention of the harmonic major scale, though not necessarily using that label, begins to appear as a theoretical concept in the second half of the 19th century in treatises and books by authors such as Carl Friedrich Weizmann and Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. Apparent instances of the harmonic major scale's use in actual compositions, however, are found even earlier in pieces by composers such as Franz Schubert. I say apparent instances, as definitively confirming the harmonic major scale's presence in works still proves challenging. This is largely due to the scale's limited use rarely forming the basis of an entire work, and even when the relevant accidental, harmony, or melodic fragment suggesting its possible presence is located, these inclusions can also often be analysed as secondary harmony, chromaticism, and/or mixture. Before looking at works illustrating some of the analytical difficulties, I'll first consider the harmonic major scale's structure and characteristics. Melodically, the harmonic major scale may be thought of as a major scale with a flattened sixth degree. A modification which closely aligns it, and particularly its tetrachord containing the augmented second interval, with its parallel harmonic minor scale. Weizmann, in his 1853 treatise on the augmented triad, labelled both the harmonic major and harmonic minor scales as well as the pentatonic scale as artificial, as they all use intervals other than major and minor seconds to connect their scale degrees. Rimsky-Korsakov also, in his harmony treatise, first published in 1886, introduces the harmonic major along with the harmonic minor, major, and natural minor scales in a section entitled Natural and Altered Modes. Looking at similarities between the harmonic major and harmonic minor scales, as mentioned earlier, they share the same tetrachord consisting of two semitones separated by an augmented second, while the semitone location in each scale's pentachords differ, being located in the harmonic major scale between its third and fourth degrees, and in the harmonic minor scale between its second and third degrees. In this way, the semitone placement in the harmonic major scale produces two overlapping semitone collections, one in which the semitones are separated by a major second, which I've here labelled X, and the other by an augmented second, labelled Y. Both these collections give the harmonic major scale a close affiliation with the octatonic and hexatonic scales. Melodically, the X semitone collection of the C harmonic major scale, for example, can be found in the 1-2 octatonic scale beginning on C sharp. This scale and all other octatonic scales contains the X semitone collections of 4 harmonic major scales, the root notes of which form a diminished seventh chord. In this way, the relevant octatonic scale can be used as a means to melodically modulate between the 4 harmonic major scales whose semitone collection it contains, as well as being used as a destination from the tonal to octatonic sound world. Similarly, this harmonic major scale's Y semitone collection can be found in the 3-1 hexatonic scale beginning on C. This scale and all other hexatonic scales contains the Y semitone collections of 3 harmonic major and their parallel harmonic minor scales, the root notes of which form an augmented triad. In this way, much like the octatonic scale, the relevant hexatonic scale can be used as a means to melodically modulate between the 3 harmonic major and parallel harmonic minor scales whose semitone collection it contains, as well as being used as a destination from the tonal to hexatonic sound world. Other melodic segments of the harmonic major scale may also be used for modulation. These notes, for example, between the scale's first and flattened sixth degrees may be used to modulate to the key of the minor subdominant, here F minor. and these notes occurring between the scale's flattened 6th degree, which must be heard enharmonically as the raised 5th, and its 4th degree, may be used to modulate to the harmonic major's relative minor, here A minor. Along with these larger melodic segments are smaller groups such as between the scale's 7th and 3rd and 2nd and 4th degrees, which also may be used for modulation to various keys. Harmonically, the harmonic major and its parallel harmonic minor scale share the following chords. While the harmonic major has a major tonic triad, a minor and major mediant, and augmented submediant. These chords may all potentially be used as pivots into tonal keys, as well as into the sound world of other scale types. The C major tonic triad, for example, is also found in the 3-1 hexatonic scale beginning on C, and the 1-2 octatonic scale also beginning on C. When discussing modulation, Rimsky-Korsakov lists as keys in the first degree of relationship with a given key all the triads of that key except the leading note. He also includes the triad and key of the minor subdominant, which is only diatonic to the harmonic major scale. As mentioned earlier, one of the challenges of locating the harmonic major scale in a composition is that the flattened 6th degree can also often be analysed as a non-harmony note, especially as in most works the flattened 6th degree is typically used in conjunction with its diatonic equivalent. Despite the analytical challenges, the harmonisation of both diatonic and flattened versions of the harmonic major scale 6th degree can offer more opportunities for modulation, as the availability of different types of the same chord can take the work into any key in which the chords are contained. In the C harmonic major scale, for example, the major and minor mediant and subdominant chords can be used for pivot chord modulations into several keys, such as F major and F minor, E major and E minor, A minor, C minor, and A flat major, as well as into the 3-1 hexatonic scale beginning on C sharp. The minor supertonic and its diminished form can be used to modulate into various keys, and both are also found in the 1-2 octatonic scale beginning on D. The A minor submediant of the C major scale has similar modulatory abilities, and while I'll be referring to the augmented triad of the C harmonic major scale as having an A flat root note, it must be remembered that each note of an augmented triad may potentially act as the root. In other words, along with the diatonic C major tonic and E major and minor mediant triads, there may also be C and E augmented triads on these degrees. C harmonic major's A flat augmented triad may be used as a pivot chord into the 3-1 hexatonic scales beginning on C and C sharp, as well as into the following harmonic major and their relative minor scales, which may use either their harmonic or melodic forms. The root notes of the major keys are the same as the notes of the augmented triad which they contain, while the root notes of their relative minor keys form an F augmented triad. Interestingly, the tonic chords of these 6 keys are the same chords which Weitzmann grouped around the C augmented triad, the enharmonic equivalent spelling of the A flat augmented triad in our example. Weitzmann, however, derived his chords by raising or lowering one of the augmented triad's degrees to form the new chords, while our 6 keys are grouped together as they all contain the same augmented triad. Triadic transformation theory labels the 6 triads collectively as a Weitzmann region, which on a tonitz locates the respective chords on either side of the shared diagonal augmented triad line. Moving this way, either up or down through the region, produces a series of chords connected using triadic transformation theory terminology by Rn transformations, that is, movement between relative major and minor chords, and minor triads and their major dominants. The Rn transformations produce a continuous cycle through the 6 triads, all containing certain notes of the shared augmented triad. The shared augmented triad of the Weitzmann regions may especially be seen with the N-connected chords, whose central notes, when connected in this way, all contain the same augmented triad notes, sometimes enharmonically written. Weitzmann noted in his example of a connected F minor and C major triad that the most important secondary notes of these 2 triads and the keys they represent are the E natural, the raised leading note of the minor key, and A flat, the flattened 6th of the harmonic major scale. This connection also arises between these keys when we mirror the relevant harmonic minor, producing the harmonic major scale, a process which may be the origin of the harmonic major scale. More may be said about Weizmann regions, however I'll save that for other videos. As I mentioned earlier, a big challenge in determining whether the harmonic major scale is present in a work is deciding if the composer was actually thinking of the scale or simply using some other device such as chromaticism or mixture. In most cases, knowing what a composer was thinking is an impossibility, and this is true even with composers such as Rimsky-Korsakov, who we know recognized the scale, including it in his harmony treatise. Despite this, even his treatise examples can be ambiguous and may be analysed both as a use of the harmonic major scale and of mixture. In this excerpt, for example, which is included in a section discussing the harmonic major scale, so we know that it is intended to be heard as such, the minor subdominant and diminished supertonic chords may also be heard as being borrowed from the parallel minor. Perhaps in an attempt to emphasize the sound of the harmonic major scale, Rimsky-Korsakov here and in other examples refrains from using the diatonic sixth degree along with the flattened sixth. In this excerpt from a string quartet in G major preceding the first vertical statement of the tonic triad in bar 31 are 8 bars containing many harmonic and melodic instances of G major's flattened sixth degree E flat. Given what we know of the composer, we could perhaps feel confident that here is an example of the G harmonic major scale. Rimsky-Korsakov, however, muddies the waters by sounding the lowered sixth degree amongst notes of D dominant seventh harmony, all sounding over a dominant pedal, thereby creating a dominant flat ninth sound. In the unfinished minuet and trio movement from his piano sonata in C major, Schubert uses harmony containing the flattened sixth degree as part of 3 modulations. The first modulation uses the minor subdominant of the movement's tonic key of A flat major, which is introduced through these bars alternating with the tonic triad. Schubert then treats the minor subdominant enharmonically to sound as the mediant of A major, the key to which the work moves. Here 2 common notes, F flat, A flat major's flattened sixth degree, and D flat, sounding as E and C sharp, are shared by the D flat minor and A major triad, with both root notes of the root position triads moving by a diminished fourth. For the second modulation, moving from the key of A major to D flat major, Schubert initially alternates as before between tonic and minor subdominant harmony, now containing F, the flattened sixth degree of A major. Instead of treating the minor subdominant triad enharmonically, however, Schubert's method of effecting the move into D flat can be heard in several ways. The first is the use of common notes connecting the D minor, B flat, and G flat major chords. The second is through altered chords used as a pivot. The B flat major triad is the Neapolitan of A major and the major submediant of D flat major. And the third way is through a series of major third intervals, the enharmonic equivalent of the previous diminished fourth, connecting the root position triads. The 3 chords related by this third connection may be seen on a tonitz where the progression descends through part of a hexatonic cycle, with a shared augmented triad of the 2 harmonic major scales, A and D flat major. The keys involved in the modulation are found on the cycle's right-hand line. The third modulation takes the work from D flat major back into A major, with Schubert again using minor subdominant harmony containing the flattened 6th degree of D flat major, B double flat. Here Schubert moves directly from D flat major tonic harmony to the G flat minor subdominant before moving to an F flat major chord, which related to the key of D flat major as the flattened major mediant. Once again, however, Schubert is treating these chords and the ones following enharmonically as a series of diatonic chords in A major, with some preceded by their own dominants. Once the key of A major is reached, Schubert uses that key's flattened 6th degree as part of minor subdominant harmony and sounding together with an E dominant 7th chord to create a dominant minor 9th sound. With all these examples and modulations, it is difficult to determine whether Schubert was thinking of the harmonic major scale as being the source of the altered elements, or was he simply creating the alterations through mixture for the purpose of moving to a new key or to produce a desired sound. Finally, in the F major nocturne by Rachmaninoff, we find many of the same analytical difficulties. Rachmaninoff uses the diatonic and flattened 6th degree in close proximity. Writes the flattened 6th degree enharmonically to look on paper more like a passing note than the root note of harmony. And introduces the flattened 6th degree as part of altered chords to effect the modulation. Rachmaninoff, however, at the work's conclusion may give us a clue that he was in fact using the harmonic major scale. Here, after moving to the final tonic chord of F major, he then uses the flattened 6th degree as part of minor major subdominant 7th harmony to close the work with a plagal cadence. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.